This lesson is on Chapter 10, Lesson 4 in your Go Math textbook on page 394. Activity 2. Use a Venn diagram to sort quadrilaterals. Now we did this in our lesson on triangles and lines and angles earlier, so we're doing the same thing here with quadrilaterals. Write the names of the quadrilaterals in the Venn diagram. Okay, so we don't have a cool way of labeling or writing down the word quadrilateral in a shape like we did with triangle, and so we have to actually write out quadrilateral and then name it by the letters. And so write the names of the quadrilaterals in the Venn diagram. All right, so which of these have exactly one pair of parallel sides? One pair. So I see that the quadrilateral JKLM have one pair of parallel sides. They have KL and JM that are parallel. And so it actually has you writing out the entire word quadrilateral. I'm going to let you write quad for short because it won't even fit on this line. So quadrilateral JKLM. Now remember, we have to name them going around the shape, around the quadrilateral by the four vertices in order, so that we couldn't name it like JLMK or something like that. We can't mix those up like we could with triangles. All right, there is one more that has one pair of parallel sides. Now, if we look at this shape right here, quadrilateral EFGH, we see that we have two parallel sides, so that's not one. Quadrilateral ABCD is a square, and so it has exactly two pairs of parallel lines. What else do you see? This one almost, PQRS, almost looks like it has two parallel lines, this one and this one. But if we continue this one on going in this direction, and we continue this one on going in this direction, at some point, right down this line, they're going to cross. It's going to be a good ways, but they're going to cross. These are not parallel here. The only other shape that has two parallel sides is quadrilateral TUVW. And that is because TU and WV are exactly opposite one another, and they're both going in a straight line. And so they will never intersect, which means that quadrilateral TUVW is your other quadrilateral that has exactly one pair of parallel sides. Okay? Do we have any shapes that have no parallel sides? There are two of these quadrilaterals that have no parallel sides whatsoever. See if you can recognize them. We already know that PQRS, these are not parallel. We also can really easily see, since these are going in two totally opposite different directions, that they can't have parallel sides either. So, PQRS, and then there's one more. Let me go ahead and check these off. JKLM and TUVW, I know I've already used those, and I've used that one. If you said that quadrilateral QRNZ is a quadrilateral that has no parallel sides, then you would be correct. So good job. QRNZ. Now notice, that's not in alphabetical order, obviously, but it does go around the quadrilateral. You could name this quadrilateral ZQRN, and that would be fine as well. All right, now we have 2 more left, and we need a quadrilateral that has 2 pairs of parallel sides. Okay, so since this one, EF and GH, those are both parallel sides, and FG and EH are parallel sides. Quadrilateral EFGH has 2 pairs of parallel sides. And finally, the only other one we have left, which is a square, which we automatically know has 2 pairs of parallel sides, is quadrilateral ABCD. Now, let's move down to the bottom of the page to the try this activity. Classify each figure as many ways as possible. Write quadrilateral, trapezoid, parallelogram, rhombus, rectangle, or square. Now, for some of these, it's going to, all 3 of these we can look at and immediately know that they are all quadrilateral. So that's the first thing that we're going to start with. They all are shapes that have 4 sides, so we can list quadrilateral for all 3 of them. So yes, that means you have to write the word quadrilateral 3 times. Hopefully by the 3rd time you can write it with it and spell it correctly without even looking at it. Okay, so next what we know about this one is that it has 2 sides. It has 2 pairs of parallel sides. These sides are parallel and these sides are parallel. We also know that these 2 sides are equal and these 2 sides are equal. And if we go back and look at our definitions of our common quadrilaterals, we can see that a parallelogram has these 2 pairs of parallel lines and 2 pairs of sides with equal length. And so this one is also a parallelogram. And that's a big word. Parallelogram. Parallelogram. All right, for B, we know that it's a quadrilateral, but we may need to go back again to page 393 and see which shape has 1 set of equal length sides. Now these are not parallel lines, and so we need to check back and see what that means. This side, these sides right here, this side and this side are parallel. So what does that mean? That means that it is a trapezoid right here. And those are pretty easy to recognize as well. A trapezoid, you probably already learned what a trapezoid was a long time ago. And so you may have recognized it immediately. All right, so for C. Now, one of the things that we notice, if we go back and look at page 393 at our common quadrilaterals, we know that a square it meets the qualifications of every single one of these except for trapezoid. Okay? So a quadrilateral is a square, it is a rectangle, it is a rhombus, and it is a parallelogram. Okay, so a square has all of these, it meets all of the qualifications of all 4 of these. So if you go from the most common, like the general term, quadrilateral, it's a 4-sided shape. Then it's a parallelogram, we also know that. We know it's a rhombus, we know it's a rectangle, and it's also a square. So, all of those are going to be listed for a square. So, quadrilateral, parallelogram, rhombus, rectangle, and square. And you may have heard me tell you this a lot as we were talking about, even in vocabulary and stuff, when we were learning about quadrilaterals, that I said a square is a rectangle. All squares are rectangles, but not all rectangles are squares. So here is where that comes from. So a square is a quadrilateral, it's a parallelogram, it's a rhombus, it's a rectangle, and it's a square. The most specific name for it is square because it tells us the most information about it. Good job, guys.